Panel, listen. OG is out because they are running away from this debate, right? But however, we will still engage them on their level of argument which they bring to us in this debate. First, let's clarify what this motion is all about and what this motion seeks to engage. First, this political correctness is issues that are sensitive in its nature. Why? One. Secondly, issues that discriminate. Thirdly, issues that marginalize in itself, which can be tantamount to hate speeches in itself, which is what OG is running away from the debate, right? They are clearly running away. But let's still engage them in their paradigm of the argument. Why is it still wrong for such issues that result to tension to be avoided in the societies? That is where we're going to rebut out of Percy's case and taking out the whole government in this debate, right? Percy tells you that they believe in a liberal democracy where people have the freedom of expression, right? We believe in the freedom of expression, right? But in an instance where a freedom of expression excludes a particular set in itself, it's ultimately wrong, right? Because exclusion is not supported by the principle of democracy in itself. That is ultimately wrong, which their principle of argument is built on, right? So if you are telling me that I have a freedom of expression and my freedom of expression inhibits another person's freedom of right to express himself or be content with the environment or be content to anything, but panel the house, it's in itself wrong because it doesn't allow people to ultimately satisfy themselves as they want to express democracy in itself. The tenet of argument, the principle in itself is faulty in this instance. Secondly, why is it also faulty? They tell you that they support tension in as much as it gives room for discourse, right? We tell you that in instances where tension exists, there is no room for discourse in the first place, right? Because there is a dissenting views in between people's ideologies and views of different people, right? So in instances where there is tension, they don't even listen to you because they have their own mindset built on a particular ideology. They have their own mindset built on a particular stuff, right? So in instances where tension exists, there is no even room for discourse. That is why democracy ultimately comes into play to make things comfortable when there is no room for tension in itself. Democracy is not built on tension as they claim. Democracy is built on the rule of law, and we'll show you in an argument where tension exists, rule of law is eroded in itself. That is what we're going to give you in this argument. Before I continue, let me take him.
Thank you very much. Do you find the rise of right-wing populist leaders insidious to a liberal society?
Panel, listen, this reminds me. In instance, we are not against people talking and making discussions about issues, right? But in instances where this discussion is ultimately harmful to the environment, the society, first, is harmful to the individual being talked about, two, it's harmful to the person that is talking about it, three, such discussions is not allowed in the society. What are we going to bring to you from opening opposition? First, the true nature of this kind of discussions and why political correctness should never be, the decline of political correctness should never be supported in this instance. Secondly, why disadvantaged group should have a right of inclusion no matter what you think that they have done in the society, right? Disadvantaged groups people are not people that cause most crises in the society, right? Majority people that cause crises are not even, take for instance the whites and the blacks, right? Because the blacks are minorities and they are discriminated against in the society, right? The whites that are not discriminated can commit any crime and can never be pointed out. Take for instance the war crimes which Donald Trump has engaged into by striking Syria through their nuclear weapon has never for once been pointed out. But for the fact that North Korea has just started developing its nuclear armaments, they have started pointing out that they are disobeying the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Why these people, in the first instance, have been disobeying it and flouting blatantly the rules that guide international conventions. But what do the international community count or consider in this instance? That is flawed in itself. First, why it's harmful to the political institutions? We tell you, panel, listen, that the problem with issues of this nature is the sensitivity of these issues, right? In instances where the sensitivity causes harm to the individual's ideology, individual views, individual perception of self and self-identity, it ultimately creates a sense of war between the government and a particular set of people, right? So ultimately what happens is when political institutions engage in this kind of discussions, it ultimately means that they are not attacking you as an individual, they are attacking you as a race, which means they are not even attacking you as a country, they are attacking you as a race. Even if you are not in their country, they are attacking you even in other countries, right? So this is ultimately bad in itself because it harms individual ideologies and the way people perceive themselves. That is harmful in itself. Why is it harmful to political system? Political system is built on the rule of law, and anything that erodes the rule of law is ultimately avoided in itself, right? So at the point where discussions that leads to tension, that leads to riots, that leads to chaos in the society, that leads to erosion of the rule of law, killing, destruction, and all those things, ultimately is harmful. Discrimination issues erode the rule of law because it makes the law biased in itself. Why does it make the law biased in itself? When you start making issues that are discriminatory, when you start talking about issues that are discriminatory, you give preference to a particular set of people and abandon another set of people. When the law says everybody is equal in the face of law, ultimately you prefer a particular set of people above the other people. That is ultimately harmful and it's morally repressive in itself. Thirdly, it leads to divisionism in the society. It creates a room where people are divided along a particular race or particular ideological line, where the society is meant to properly integrate individuals and make them properly integrate as one people in a particular society. We tell you that at the point where society divides itself among a particular ideologies, it's ultimately harmful to the society because a particular set of people will start revolting. Take for instance, the bourgeoisie and the proletariat in the society, they ultimately will have to revolt in all instances because they feel they are marginalized, they feel they are oppressed, and in instances where that oppression exists, it's ultimately harmful to the society and it's bad in itself. Thirdly, it doesn't lead to political stability, which leads to war crisis to the society. What do I mean, panel? Listen. In instances where political statements are made along these lines, it ultimately makes political people biased that ultimately erodes the kind of political system that exists in itself, right? Because political institutions are meant to be sensitive to the issues that help to integrate the society, right? So in instances where it doesn't do this, it's ultimately harmful and erodes the political stability. We are proud to oppose this motion.